So today the presentation is on Patanjali Yoga meditation, our mind. Indeed, as a practitioner, we have seen that meditation practice is nothing but to bring our mind calm, and that requires some sort of a controlling feature. I don't like to use the word control because I feel, we have to be in harmony with our mind. But, no harm in using the word control also. So if you want to say you want to learn to drive a car, you have to have some basic understanding about the car, particularly the controls that you have, the steering, the brake, and accelerator, and what all other gadgets in your dashboard, and all those things are there. How to switch on the wipers and things like that. So you have to have, at least as a user, you may not have to know all the engineering behind the automobile, but as an user, you have to have some sort of understanding about how this system works. So is true with our mind. So I always want to be clear, don't want to go too much into philosophy in these practice-based course. But let's say I will bring some terminology, mind as covered by Kapil in Sankhya Sutra. So that I have said, he is predecessor of Patanjali, and Patanjali's book is called Yoga Sutra. Kapil's book is called Sankhya Sutra. So just giving you an idea that he says that what we call mind as an aggregate has three components. So these three components, Sanskrit terms are Buddhi, Ahankar, and Manas. But I won't use them second time. I will translate them as intellect, memory, and some sort of a linkage. There's a lot of confusion because the word manas is like man, which is mind in Sanskrit and Hindi. So, on one hand, the mind means the aggregate of this, and in our languages, Indian languages, mind also means this particular component. But depending on the context, but in this particular presentation, there is no confusion. When I use the word mind, it is for the whole aggregate, the total thing. And these three units individually will be referred to as intellect, memory, and linkage. This is me. So this is how Kapil is telling me that me, my consciousness, this is my ultimate of seat of consciousness. Somewhere inside my skull, there is a very small cave, and that's where I am sitting, and I am enveloped by a mind that has the three components, and then their business is to connect me to the world. So I have five senses, and they bring the data signal. This is one at a time, picked up by this linkage, and then passed on to this unit, where it makes a copy of it for future reference, and then it is displayed here. And not only it is displayed here, here I do what is called intellectual functions, thinking, what is called, that is discriminative ability to finally conclude, like, is this a rose flower or this is a tulip? When I see a flower, I have to conclude, is this marigold or that? So that sort of a thinking is done. And here also I take a decision whether I get closer to that flower or be away from it, or pluck out one of them, whatever it is. If I take a decision, then that decision, that command goes here. And because here also is stored what previous things I have done in my life, how do I walk, how do I raise my hand, and all that. And then that command goes there. And this has a five outlet ports. These inlet ports for bringing the information signal, while these outlet ports are activating the five motor organs like hands and feet and speech, etc., etc. So let's quickly look at it. This unit is, as I said, discriminative ability, where I think and decide, and even the action that I am going to take is decided here. And then the next unit is memory, where all the impressions of three kinds of things that I go through. My basic, as a conscious being, I am interested in knowing and also going through the experience and action in trying to influence the surroundings in some sense. So these are the three functions I like to do: knowledge, action, and experience. But I cannot do it of my own without this mind and the body as such. So all that I go through, all that past informations, impressions are stored here. So past knowledge that I saw this flower a week ago also, I remember that. And if I had smelled that flower, I remember the that smell also. And last week when I was walking in this garden, which path I took, etc., that action also I remember all this. And so this is kind of my storage device, where past of my all the threefold functions, knowledge, experience, and action, are stored. So, repeated action, like when I was driving for the first time, of course, I am very much involved there. But now, 20 years later, I am an expert driver. Then here I am not quite consciously driving my car. I might be talking to my friend sitting nearby in a discussion, but still I am driving the car because the repeated practice of driving is stored here. So this takes care of what we call as subconscious actions. So these are details. I won't go much into that. So intellect I have discussed, memory also I have discussed, linkage I have discussed. You know, these are five inlet ports to receive signals from five sensory organs. Here the arrow is thin because it is one at a time. Either I see or I hear. But of course, like at this point, you may feel you are seeing me and hearing me. That happens because this is very, very fast. So this arrow is scanning the five ports at a very maybe speed of light or even faster than that, and picks up signal from sight organ and side sound organ. It's one at a time, but they are so fast it appears that I am seeing and hearing together. But here there is a big arrow because multiplicity is allowed. Like I am speaking as well as I can raise my hand, put my handkerchief from here to there. So, these are multiplicity is permissible. So that's a brief description of what we call mind. And this is where meditation is an attempt to bring the nearest component, because I am watching this here. This is kind of, the whole world is here for me. Though, so it's like a desktop I am watching inside my skull somewhere in a cave, but it appears I am watching the external world around me. But actually, I am just watching that screen. So meditation is an attempt to bring the nearest component of mind, namely this intellect, making it inactive or blank. If you imagine this is like a screen, then I want to make it blank. But now Patanjali uses another term. He calls it a chitta in his Yoga Sutra. His very first statement about yoga is yoga chitta vritti nirodha. So he is calling it a chitta, and vritti is, so chitta is like a cinema hall screen in a raw state, a white screen. But once cinema begins, it shows some images. So what is falling upon the chit is called its vritti. So chitta vritti nirod means subduing it. So you want to remove all the images from the screen so that your screen is in its raw state. So that is the objective of meditation, that I can bring my Citta. So he gives another name to Buddhi, the word Citta, which I will explain quickly. So why he uses another term. But let us understand, yoga is defined as a state of this Buddhi, or what he calls a Citta, that this is absolutely subdued. There is absolutely nothing there. Hmm? So now I will devote, or let me quickly give you two analogies. So you can look at mind as a laptop, like my laptop is open in front of me. I'm watching the screen. So this is the as if the screen, and in the laptop, your laptop has all kinds of data in the hard drive or whatever it is. So that is your this kind of unit, and then it has inlet ports and outlet ports. You can send in some information to your phone, etc., to your laptop, or it can, uh, things like a printer, you can send out some information for printing to a printer also. So there are inlet and outlet ports there. So just an analogy is always partial, it cannot be 100%. Just to explain it to a layperson that yes, mind can be seen like that. But of course, mind has been described by Kapil in Sankhya in good detail like this. Another analogy I can take, which I will continue in my next week's presentation, is as if you are the CEO and your mind is a secretary. So, as if your secretariat has these three units, you work on a desk. So, desk has all kinds of papers, and you look at them. All kinds of recommendations from your advisors are there, and you take a decision. You put your signature. So that is like your desk. And of course, your secretariat has filing cabinet where all kinds of data has been stored, and your secretariat can let a visitor come in. Your staff members can come and talk to you either in person or through the phone or whatever device. So you are connected to your organization or to the outside world. And also you can give your command to them and influence them, is it not? So your secretariat has, your desk itself is your desktop, then all the data in filing cabinet, and their communication lines. So these are analogies, but just let me today say why Buddhi has been referred to a Chitta by Patanjali. So as you know, as I said in the beginning, you do all your thinking here. So thinking is something appears on your this unit, and then you are processing it, is it not? So a thought is there, but it is a dynamic operation. That's what thinking is. And as you know it, we all are meditation practitioners. When we close our eyes, very first challenge is we want to tell our mind, get away from thoughts. We don't want to do any thinking. We have 24 hours in a day for all those thinking operations. But in the next 10, 15 minutes of meditation, I want to impress upon my mind, no, I am not interested in processing any thoughts, any of your advice. You just stay in your chamber and don't send in anything for me. But still, even if I have succeeded, and like in our group of meditation practitioners, we have reached that level that after a few moments, we are void of thoughts, is it not? But still, then there is a higher order struggle, and that requires a huge amount of practice. And that struggle is something appears on this device. Something appears. Obviously, it comes from my memory, my storage device. It pops out something as if my secretariat is saying, would you like to consider this? you know. But I have to again say, no, I am not interested in anything. But as is our mind is used to, it keeps sending me some images. Now, of course, I am not getting tempted to process them as thought, but still I am aware that there is an image here. So, now this component is not being used as its full potential for so-called thinking operation, but still it exhibits some image to me, is it not? Something comes there. So that is what I am saying. Now it is functioning not as intellect, but merely as a screen, and that is why Patanjali uses a different term, that this unit, this component is functioning at a very lower potential, where it is merely exhibiting something to me, but I am very conscious that in meditation I want to make it absolutely in its raw state. Nothing should appear here. And that's what the meditation practice is all about. How to make this screen blank, is it not? And that's why there is a new term, Citta, which is actually the same, Buddhi. The screen word is used for the same what is intellect. It is capable of functioning as intellect, but I am not interested in letting it do that. On the other hand, I would like even all the, like my laptop screen should become absolutely blank. So this is where we just want to understand how our mind functions, and because at one, this is what we want to subdue all its functions. And next week I will uh, slightly go further using the analogies of me and my mind as CEO and secretary, and then something that we informally discussed, being in love with some entity, that will come there. And let's see, when you are in love with something, then it is easier not to get bombarded with any other thing. Say you love a particular TV serial, then 25 minutes or so, you don't get any thoughts. You are, because your mind knows it, you love that thing. It doesn't disturb you. So, now we are tuning our mind in meditation, letting it know that I love meditation, and then gradually we will see it won't send in any other new image. Thank you very much for joining me today. We will meet again next week, and